officially underway, so we can throw over to the game and see exactly how it does pan out. As you can see, both teams smoke straight off the bat, trying to get those initial wards in the mid lane out. It could be a level 1 team fight to break out to boot. You just never know with these two. That seems like they will, again, just focus on the warding right now. Squadix may have his smoke broken and does. Won't be able to get the ward down, thankfully for him. So no D ward to come for Lelis. Meanwhile, VP are just looping around from the back. Nobody around that area, sadly, for VP, so they are not going to be able to get a free kill for themselves yet. But they are doing a decent job of sneaking to the high ground by the mid-tier 1 tower. They'll get some vision down around the area to scout out if anyone does rotate down bottom. But it seems like Nouns are fully aware that they may be hanging around that area. So instead, they'll go to the top side and just secure their own bounty runes.
Yeah, not too much excitement early on. I would say the level 1 of VP is pretty damn scary to get caught out on. So if Nouns decides to get greedy, kind of walk back into their own rune, going to be major punishment coming out. And level 1 of Nouns is also not to be underestimated. Could be a nice brawl if they all just walk into each other, but doesn't look like either side's going to hit too hard. No, nothing too silly. Again, so much on the line here, right? Like this is potentially the determining series for tiebreakers overall in this group, or at least one set of tiebreakers here. And neither team wants to give any openings to the other side. So despite having a more aggressive draft announced, maybe that also affects their mindset here. Maybe they start to play more defensive because there's so much on the line.
We shall see, Jonathan. You never know. There is a lot on the line, though. That is for sure. That is one thing we can know is F&G, who'll go through the twin gates. Of course, we're looking at mid lane, Squadix versus Gunner. We've seen this Primal Beast versus Pango matchup quite a bit. I think I kind of already went over this, but it really is about just getting those couple points in trample and then just being a real nuisance towards the Pangolier. But do you think there's anything else to watch out for between these two?
Not too much. I think it's a very straightforward trading lane. The level spikes for Primal Beast really starts to kick in by level 3, level 4. Same thing kind of goes for Pango. It does feel like the Pangolier has a better time by level 1, 2, just because Shield Crash does provide a little bit more durability for Squadix to kind of try to harass back. But as long as you kind of hold on here for Gutter, don't cop too much. The level 3, level 4 doesn't take too long to ramp into. Rune Control, not as big for either side. They are bottle carriers, but Power Runes, maybe the first big one that you'd want to contest. Water Runes, not as high for priority, considering how mobile both sides can be to get themselves on top of that rune.
Yeah. Well, that's top lane. FNG and Heritage, of course, going up against Moo and Lelis. Trying to get a little bit aggressive. Moo and Lelis, not too threatened by it. See a lot of kill potential at this top lane from both sides of things, but not too much harassment being dealt quite yet. You do want those initial levels up first before you do start to get a little bit more aggressive. See FNG and Lelis kind of going at it over these D wards. Nobody gonna die though. Both of them will just kind of sit back and relax for a little bit. Of course, that bottom lane, which is the one we probably haven't really talked about too much yet, you had Notice and Seiyu against K1 and Yamsun. This is the lane where you kind of went over it already. Like, you've got the rift into the cold feet, though that isn't going to be skilled up anyway. Seiyu and Notice could also be rather aggressive with their spells. So I feel like both side lanes are very aggressive from either team if they wish to be.
I think this off lane for VP is a little bit slower overall. Like, you're not going to be looking for a burst play onto Hector anytime soon. The CK is very hard to shove down, very hard to try to drain down, even with the minus armor you do get with your Venge. You're going to have to land perfect stuns. And even if you commit, there is decent enough trading from the side of Nouns that it's always a little bit of a risk to kind of go all in, although they'll poke on to Hector a bit. But
I mean, they've got a lot of damage. This combo does have a lot of damage. And if you find Yamsun, he's guaranteed to die. In fact, yeah, Seiyu's having a look around now. They won't have the Celestial Hammer to throw out, though, so they'll just zone him out for the Lotus Pool. But I would be somewhat wary between these two. It could turn out to be a lot of damage if you're not expecting it. Meanwhile, mid, if I may point your attention that way, Jonathan, Gunner's doing a bit of pulling right now. Where's he bringing this creep wave? Well, Squadix is going to meet him in the mid.
Drag it back. Yeah, he's just going to equalize. You don't want to give free EXP away to Gunner. This lane's still holding relatively steady. You are getting a little bit more out from Squadic, but there's that level 4 timing we were talking about with Gunner. Level 2 trample, pretty hard for Squadics to deal with. Up top, I wanted to point this out. We were switching lanes. They lost 2 couriers there. FNG doesn't have regen, doesn't have mana. Without that mana, you can't spam out the dual breath. Without the dual breath, you're not winning trades up against this Dark Willow. So Lullis is having a free time. Full HP, full mana, perfectly fine. Still has 2 tangos, still has a salve, has room to rotate out for the 4-minute rune as well. So you're already finding little wins. We talked about the water runes not being as important to deny away, but Squadix is already empty, and there's no one dying, so there's no bottle refill for him anytime soon here. Gunner's going to have a free time.
K1 got very low on the CK there for a moment. Barely surviving thanks to a Fairy Fire, but that was a very close call. And notice and say you again just being super aggressive here with this Dawnbreak Avenge combination, and even K1 again just has to play very, very carefully here. So it is not as safe as you would expect. How about that top lane? I mean, have they chosen to get aggressive yet? Not quite. It seems like both sides are still more than happy to just sit back and relax. Mind you, Kiritich is finding a lot of farm, so he does not need to play aggressive. Zmu will go for a bit of a cheeky charge, but now the turnaround is there from FNG. Won't amount to too much. And it seems like VP have made the call. Like, if we can farm on this Sven, if we can hit creeps for free, just don't farm. In fact, I say that, as I say that, a perfect double stun out from Kiritich, and he might just find a kill on Mu. Well, there's the caster's curse of the day, John. I've done it again.
Yep, you've done it again, as is on brand for you, Mikey.
You're welcome,
managed to get one, but your point is correct, though. I mean, it's like what we were talking about in draft. You can get aggressive with a Jakira plus Sven, but even if you just sit back and farm, this is very favorable for VP. You're going to have a good timing into the Mask of Madness. Echo Saber being queued up here, probably into the BKB afterwards. You can try to get some stacks going, especially with Sayu on the Venge. It's not too difficult to dip into the triangle and just start to get some stacks up, which Sayu does look to be setting up for. Dawnbreaker, offlaner that you can leave alone, quite durable. Already has a chainmail, so can take a couple of hits from the CK, even with a Reality Rift. And unless someone starts scouting this out from nouns, that's going to be a lot of flash farm ready to go for VP. That's going to accelerate that timing for Kiritich to join in and negate that minus armor burst that CK brings.
Top lane, Moose still being chased down. Kiritich did not have a Stormhammer to throw out. He did throw it out earlier, so Mu is able to walk away. Meanwhile, mid lane, they are making the jump in onto the Pangolier, and they've got him. Ghana with a great rotation, win the onslaught, and just find Squadix with the Pulverize. And, well, he did have both supports around to help, but they weren't even necessary. I believe Ghana would have had the damage no matter what.
Yeah, they're just... I don't mind that commitment coming out from nouns. I think they understand how much the Pangolier hinges on that initial timing for a fast diffusal. If you don't manage to find that, the Pango's rotations just fall really flat. It does feel like the inhibit just helps too much in trying to control a hero, keep them in a certain area to keep that Rolling Thunder going. Squadix is forced to smoke up as well back to mid. No TP available for him. So even more space, more time for Gunner to just get control in that lane. And again, with how durable your side lanes are for nouns, you don't really mind rotating those supports anyway. Like a Spirit Breaker can die, it takes a lot of commitment. A CK can die, but you've got the level 3 Chaos Strike, so even just bursting down the CK at this point, it's not going to be quick enough. Squadix.
Mid lane. Squadix having a bit of a go. Just need to back off as Gunner is too much of a threat right now on that Primal Beast. Of course, Lelis has been sticking around on the Dark Willow as well, just in case he needs it. Hasn't really been the case for Gunner. He's been perfectly fine. Currently sitting at second in net worth. And you might be a little bit afraid of how well this Sven is farming on VP's end. Like, Kiritich is still top of the net worth of 4k, but 800 gold ahead of the CK already. And as a Sven, you do have an inherent farming tool. So it could be rough for K1 to keep up.
It can be. I think we've seen a lot of CKs more than willing to just use Phantasm as a farming spell with how long the Phantasm illusions last. So I don't think you're going to be too far behind on Hecker. Does hit 6, starts farming with it, and is already occupying some of that jungle already while working the lane. He hasn't been ganked up. The Sven timings are still looking pretty damn tight, though. And again, someone's got to check out these stacks. from the side of nouns. They've got to be able to contest this because this is just going to be a massive amount of free farm. They could easily clear it out with Gunner if they did manage to get forward vision. It's just no one's rotated into that area. Very heavily defended from VP with the wards and the Watcher. They are smoked up on nouns though, but they're heading up top instead.
They are. Kiritich, he's the big target. If you can secure this kill, it would be absolutely massive for nouns. Kiritich, how good is your game sense, sir? It seems like it's pretty good because he is hiding in the tree line, running right back towards the fountain, though Lelis is still having a look around, but no, Kiritich, beautiful TP up. Understood they were hanging around this area trying to find him, and now down towards the bottom lane, they're going to try and force another gank, but Gunner's already there. It seems like Nouns read the movement now. They'll move in onto notice, but oh, hold on a minute. Gunner, he may have gone too far. Kiritich shows up, and they'll get the kill. Oh boy, I mean, it's a chess game right here between these two teams, John. Everyone's just reading each other's movements.
That was really smart. Like, the fact that Kiritich dodged out the gank, TP down bot, more than likely was just looking for punishment while the commitment was coming up top, and now gets the space to clear out his stacks. Like, it's so much efficiency coming out for VP. 5.2k coming out for Kiritich off the back of that. This Sven is extremely farmed. Echo Saber not too far off. BKB timing is going to be pretty damn sharp as well. And Nouns, dropping the ball a bit. They don't lose more than they need to.
This could be a big problem. They'll lose Gunner again. VP just moving in for the easiest swap of Seiyu's life. And with that, it's just Gunner, he absolutely melts in that mid lane. And well, this Primal Beast, like, it was off to a fantastic start, but now things are starting to slow down quite a bit, and there's just too much on the line for this series. Like, even this game one, if you lose this for Nouns, the best you could hope for is a draw, which is really not what you want. Top lane, Mu does get caught. He does have the bulldoze though, and we'll go for the charge back up. Seems like he will barely make. The Squadix is coming. Swash, it's on target. Beautiful swash from Squadix. And now they are dropping like flies across the map.
That they are. I mean, I honestly am fine with Gunner dying. I think sacrificing the Primal Beast it's not ideal, but if there's any hero on the map that should be tanking ganks, it does feel like the Primal Beast has to be up at the forefront, just because Spirit Breaker hits its stride after way more items in comparison to the Primal Beast. Like, you're looking Octarine, Blade Mail, you're looking at your Ags, that takes a little bit more. At the very least, Blade Mail and like Octarine is the point when Spirit Breaker starts to be online, or Blade Mail Ags, and that's still a miles off remove. So it's really only Gunner that can kind of show up, try to make these plays, try to be that distraction for the team to kind of absorb the aggression from VP, as you know, Hector is just going to be farming for quite some time as well. This is the early momentum you did want to see out from VP. Again, we talked about this global gank squad, just how well they can collapse onto an area with a threat of Solar Guardian, with a roll, with nothing to stop that coming out here from Squadix. And they've done a great job of applying that pressure. They haven't really translated that into objectives just yet. So as long as these tier 1 towers stand, especially at the side lanes for Nouns, there is still some comfy room for Hector and for Mu and Gunner to kind of just sit back and try to recover. 2k lead for VP, nothing to scoff at. They're still trying to force some movement down mid here on both sides.
They may not want to, though. There's a double damage rune. Kiritich will go ahead and pick that up, but it seems like he'll just kind of abuse that for farming the Ancients. So I say that, they do smoke up on FNG and Seiyu, so perhaps Kiritich will join. That bottom tier 1 tower is still standing. Kiritich will go for the creep wave first. K1 is the closest target to them, and the lines have been drawn right towards the CK. They know he's around somewhere because they see the Phantasm illusion. In K1, he will back off at the right moment. He'll TP out immediately. Obviously, you are going to give away the tier 1 bottom tower, but Nouns will just trade the top tier 1 instead. And they're actually going to go for a counter smoke as well here, Nouns. They're going to run towards the top lane with Gunner and Lelis. See if they can find some pickoffs. And with Squadix and Notice, they are around the area. But they're trying to move in onto Mu. Mu getting caught out too early. He's just gone. Not what you wanted to see as Nouns. I doubt they'll keep going for a gank. It looks like they might think about it, but without Mu, I don't know if it's well advised.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
It's risky, but they've got enough to at least find a pickoff. They can catch like a straggler on the side if they assume that VP's split up. Not the case though. VP's just been sticking as a good set of units. They back off on Squadix, so it's only Notice, but catching off the Dawnbreaker, it's going to be a lot tougher. They work their way down bot here for VP. Again, with that push into the farm, just taking up map control now and having to play a much more passive game. Like, now you're really just waiting for probably the hard timing from Gunnar. Oh.
Oh, he got the bulldoze off in time, but it won't matter. They just have permastun here for the Spirit Breaker, and Moo gets shut down again. Boy, oh boy, they are not making it easy for this Spirit Breaker whatsoever. That's the 4th death for Moo. He is 0-4-0 at the moment. Not even an assist to his name.
He hasn't been able to do much at all. That top lane was just way too slow. I thought Lelis was doing a great job of just denying that impact of the Jakiro, but it's just not enough. And he's forced to go for the Midas. So again, the catch-up play into the Ags timing. They're trying to gank top. The Ice Blast does fall flat. They had vision with wards, but Gunnar can't even find Notice. They're dodging really damn well on VP, just ensuring that now its aggression is wasting time. They're not farming. You know, Gunnar is just sitting around, not clearing out camps, not clearing out creep waves. They're constantly hunting down Moo, ensuring that the Spirit Breaker's game is going to be a lot later than you want it to be. The one thing that they have left unchecked is Hector. But again, it's a Sven versus CK. You're still more than happy with Kiritich getting all this free space for himself, knowing that once Warcry is maxed out, you're not going to die.
Noticed. They're going to make the jump in with the Bedlam out onto Gunnar. Notice, though, he is a tanky boy. He is surviving long enough. ZNG does rotate. Gunnar's going to get the hell out of there, and he'll go for the TP play out. Looks like he'll be fine. They already used the Ice Puff. They don't have the cancels. Meanwhile, bottom Moo was being hunted again, but he'll go for the charge out. Nobody's going to be able to cut him off this time. So he will survive. In fact, everybody will survive, but it does still feel like a loss for Nouns. Like, it's another rotation. Trying to pick off somebody from VP, and nobody's dying. If anything, it's a kind of emotional damage here, John, because you just, as a primal beast, to not be able to kill anyone with an Ice Blast to follow up and a Bedlam, it's gonna feel bad. And speaking of Ice Blasts, there goes Yamsa. There goes Seiyu. Gunnar shows up now. He'll go for the Pengali. Moo is around. Swash away. He does have the Rolling Thunder. Now the Solar Guardians have come in, but notice he's a bit too late to the party, so he needs to leave. And so Nouns, they do find themselves some very good trades around the Radiant jungle.
That's some really important kills. The Ice Blast coming out right before Yamsen died, helping him secure that kill onto Seiyu. Pretty nice. You do manage to find some punishment onto Squadix again, and that's some much-needed EXP and gold going the way of Nouns. Gunnar trying to rush into the blink. Again, trying to get the space going for his team. Set up, have that initiation, and just try to jump someone isolated here. They could start to play a lot better with that steady initiation from the Primal Beast, a little bit less readable than the charge forward with the Onslaught. But you are basically buying space for 2 cores. And we've seen Nouns in this situation before, where Moo's forced to farm along with formerly Yamsen. Whoa.
They were waiting for Moo. They will not swap him in, though. He got the bulldoze off, and he'll make a run. Even with the vision from the Wave of Terror, they will not bother. But you can just see the emphasis. They have just decided today we are focusing the offlane of Nouns.
Yeah, and again, we've seen this a couple of times before from Nouns in some of their international LAN appearances in, say, Dream League. We've seen this in the NADPC. When Moo doesn't have a lane, he's going to sit back and farm. You know, he's going to play his own game for a while. He's not going to be doing too much for his team. And VP are abusing that quite nicely. They are good top, though. They
certainly are. They're going to make the jump in here onto the Dark Willow, and Lelis looks like he is about to melt. Even with the Shadow Realm, he just could not survive the onslaught of VP. Mind you, it was a 4-hero rotation for that Dark Willow kill, but it seems like they will be able to transition into the top tier 1 tower. Meanwhile, mid lane, though, Squadix does end up going down, so a huge pick off for Nouns. So they will get the mid Pangolier again, and even force the rotations out from VP into the mid lane, which amount to nothing.
Yeah, it is a lot of time wasted. And Kiritich, he's more than happy to start joining these fights, though. He's got the BKB up. He's got the fresh charge at 9 seconds, trying to work into the blink to kind of jump in front and center, follow through from Squadix running around here as well. And that timing's not going to be too far off. I think the concern for Nouns is this mid-game tempo that you'd want to see within this lineup, it's still stalled out. And your Spirit Breaker's not going to be doing much. You've got the Midas on Moo up now. You've got the heart coming out for Gunner first before the blink. It just feels like if you're trying to drag this game long, it's going to favor VP. So we've got to see a mid game come out from Nouns, and the items to get that done.
They see Moo, they want the kill again here. Thing is, Gunner's around. Gunner wants to go, it seems like, but they don't want to fight by the T2 tower. Moo, he's thinking about it. Charge in, but no, he does decide to turn around. Though he is in trouble now as the Ice Blast will come in, but the Rolling Thunder's making it very hard into the Solar Guardian, and Moo just gets deleted. I'm not sure who made the call to go for the charge, but well, somebody's made a mistake. The Gunner, maybe he's not about to make a mistake. We'll find out in a moment. FNG will get onslaughted, and that'll be enough. Trample will take care of it. Notice will go for the chase. Here comes the Sven as well. Kiritich will get the Stormhammer, and now the God Strength. Gunner, well, it turns out it was a mistake. Sometimes the free kill is just too tempting, but it costs you 2 calls for that. Not very worth it for Nouns.
I appreciate they're trying to make plays here in Nouns. It's just, it's not clean enough, right? Like you're finding some good trades back in VP. You're only sacrificing your supports, maybe occasionally Squadix, copying it as well up front. But you've got a ton of space out for Kiritich. He's getting some good early activity up. He's got enough money for the full blink if he wants it, although it does look like he's considering the Shadowblade Silver Edge first. And again, for Nouns, this momentum that these early game cores want, it's not there. Like, Moo's just stuck trying to save for a BKB at this point, not even the Ags or the Octarine, just wanting some spell immunity up front. You've almost got the Heart and Gunner, just really lacking the gold for the recipe, but that means you're still going to be waiting for the blink as well. And it's just so much time for VP to take over. They're farming really well on all of their cores. They've got the levels to kind of back them up here. For Nouns, that single target control and ganking place with Charge Pulverize, it just hasn't shaped up the way they'd want it to. And they're forced to play a farming game. VP, 5-man smokeout.
5-man smokeout indeed. Where they headed into the Radiant Triangle. K1, he might run right into them. Perfect read again from VP. And they're even going to find Yamsun. Cherry on top. The K1, he's the guy you're making all this space for, but he just goes down so quickly to Virtus.pro. And to be absolutely fair to K1, that was his first death of the game. But it just means so much when the game's going this poorly for Nouns.
And it is. And you can't really bank on the CK being your gigantic win condition. You're just counteracted by the Sven. And they take away the Tormentor. A nice shard coming out for FNG. And not the best, but a little bit more slow. Never really hurts, especially up against something like the Spirit Breaker, which it's always annoying to kind of deal with. It's space now for everyone else in Nouns. You know, for Gunner, he's got the Heart. For Moo, BKB is inching closer, but your map is just shrinking so damn badly. And VP, and they've got the 6K lead up. They've got the Sven that you're not going to be able to stop. Blink up, Shadowblade not too far off. BKB still on 8 seconds as well, considering all this time he's had it up. And for Nouns, I mean, we've got to see this pay off at some point. They will smoke up with Hector around, wanting to use that BKB now.
They've got a charge on Kiritich, but they do cancel the charge. They have the vision, though. They know where he is. Kiritich looking to go, not through the Twin Gates, rather maybe for the creep wave, but K1 does reveal himself. More TPs incoming from VP. They'll hang out by the Twin Gates, but the Ice Blast going to give the vision over, and now the double Ice Blast connecting. In comes Gunner. He wants the Pango, but the Pango is just fine. No, in fact, no. K1 picks him off. VP, they need to leave the area. This is not the fight they wanted. Kiritich. BKB popped. He's going to try and go for the fight, but the Pulverize is out. Kiritich is getting kited around. He has no target. He's still trying onto Yamsun, but they've got the Glimmer Cape to survive through this, and Kiritich is going to go down as Nouns. They'll find 4 kills for themselves. In fact, they even smoke up again. Maybe looking for the 5th one. I highly doubt they'll find Notice, but he's by the river. He might show on the creeps. He will show on the creeps. In comes Gunner. They won't jump in, I don't think. Looks like they'll leave him be.
That's the payoff we were looking for from Nouns. This investment into that Heart from Gunner. Just how hard it is to really burst down the Primal Beast with 3.2k HP. It's just way too much. Really tight spot for them to try to fight into as well. Like,
That was-
it looked like a really good liquid fire. It's just not enough.
The Rolling Thunder was cancelled immediately. It was a bit of an awkward situation for Squadix. Like he popped that Rolling Thunder for about half a second and cancelled. Pretty rough without that Rolling Thunder to try and force the fight. And obviously they were trying to run, but it's not the way you wanted to start at all.
No, and that gives a lot of room out for nouns. Like, again, you've got pretty much BKBs finished up, BKB up on Moo. You're ready to roll on Hector now as well. He's got a Shadow Blade to kind of weave himself in and out of these fights. You've got the BKB being formed up for Gunner, not even going back for that blink that he queued up earlier. They're just ready to kind of roll. And for VP, you're still going to hit critical mass on Kurtic, but he can't play in a vacuum. You've got to be able to back up the Sven. You've got to be able to get that roll off from Squadix. They had a really good position on that area as well, but they just kind of get jumped first, and it was just such a mess by the ramp. Not having that roll really hurt the teamfight control from the side of VP. And for nouns, they've got a second wind. They've kind of tied down that net worth lead just into a more manageable 3k, which isn't too much at 24 minutes in, a lot more playable than it was earlier on for them. They're going for their own Silver Edge on Hector into a Heart, so you're just looking at 3 really durable cores that your Sven can't necessarily burst down. Your Pango doesn't necessarily burst down now as well, even though you can survive the onslaught, the initial onslaught from nouns with some of that plus armor. It's you need way more disruptiveness. And we'll see if they start to find some punishment. Moo's starting to get more confident with his charges. He is going for the Octarine before the Yags. So the charge spam is about to come out, and we've seen a lot of impactful Spirit Breaker plays already on the road to the International. After a pretty rough game, Moo's gonna reach that point eventually. That's why that Spirit Breaker is so damn popular. You shut them down in laning phase, doesn't matter. If he can farm up until the 25 to 30 minute mark, find an Octarine, he's still gonna have some impact.
That he is. He might have to be a little bit careful up at this top lane. It looks like he's thinking about charging the creep wave, but realizes VP may be hanging around. FNG is going to bait for his team. Nouns have grouped up at the top lane, so they might try and take that bait, but rather they'll be forced to fight if Roshan does get started. Gunnar will show himself. VP have not begun Roshan yet. They're just waiting by the Twin Gates.
It's such a good ambush ward. They're just setting up right by Roche. They still show themselves on creeps though, so that they're not looking to fully commit and hold that position. They could take Roshan quite quickly on the side of VP, and the pinks are coming out. And they've got Godstrength ready. This is not going to take too long.
Yeah, now they're just going to let this one go. Surprisingly enough, they are not going to stick around to contest, but rather they let the Aegis go the way VP. And I'm not sure if it's a matter of they just don't realize that they're taking Roshan, but somewhere they've made the decision to not stick around, and they're going to take the Aegis on Kurtic, and it's going to be right through the Twin Gates for a fight. Right back down to nouns. In fact, never mind, they'll cancel the Twin Gates usage. They'll just stick around on the northern side of the map here, VP.
Yeah. You do have some good wards, at least spotting for an ambush here from nouns. The high ground ward on the bot jungle on the cliff, still providing some information if they did try a flanking play there. So you're not going to get too much, but at the same time, you've got Aegis and Kurtic. You're more than happy. Freebie coming out. Nouns didn't even bother trying to scan that area. Felt like they had a really good read. I thought they were just going to try to force that rush fight, which in a really confined area, the Ice Blast would have been amazing. Granted, trying to deal with a roll that fully comes out from Squadix in such a tight area would have been pretty rough as well. So maybe it works out for the best for either side and not kind of forcing that out too hard. Again, this time given to Nouns, despite being behind the Aegis, net worth lead nullified to just 1k. Negligible coming out on VP. The build-up from Nouns starting to ramp up here. I mean, you are still ramping up as well on the side of VP. Full Silver Edge flying out for Kurtic, so he's got a lot more damage output. He can kind of try to weave himself in and out now as well. Arthur starting to group up just a little bit down bot here.
Yeah, they certainly are. Who they got? They've got the Sven. Rather, the Sven's got them, because Lelis, he is going to go down, and Yamsun is going to be following right after. Kurtic to take that one. Another 2 kills to go the way of Virtus.pro. Mid lane, there is a bit of a group up as well from VP, but they're just going to retreat. Oh, maybe they don't. K1. Oh, K1, he cops the ice path. Rolling Thunder as well. He does at least have the BKB and the Shadow Blade to be able to run away. They couldn't quite find the perma-stun, sadly for VP, but they are going to move into the tier 2 tower, knowing there's no BKB available for the CK.
Radiant's middle tower is
Yeah.
under attack.
It's a big opening for the side of VP. They can start to clean up these tier 2s, start to set up for the next Roshan into high ground. I don't see them trying Roshan on this Aegis Life. Not just yet. Yeah, just the normal course of action here with just the tier 2s into second Rosh into high ground. We'll see. Shouldn't be any contest coming out from Nouns. They don't have the full BKB on Gunner, which kind of makes it a little bit tougher for him to commit. They should be able to have this BKB and Octarine timing on Mu and Gunner come together relatively soon, though. And that's where we need to start to see Nouns start to play as a team again. And just constantly commit those charges, try to be disruptive. Mu cutting off the creep wave down bot to slow down that siege. Tier 2 tower will still fall, but at the very least, they ensure that the high ground isn't under heavy threat.
Well, Squad X was about to run into Mu, but Mu does back his way out. The D-Ward will be there from the Pangos. I mean, VP, they are still well and truly in control of this game, and it's looking tougher and tougher for Nouns to make that comeback happen. I mean, it's only a 4K advantage. It's just about the draft, I feel like. The heroes of VP just feel like they scale much better. Here we go again. Kiritich does pop the Shadow Blade, decides better of it. In fact, I say Shadow Blade, he's got a Silver Edge rather. Doesn't go for the chase onto Nouns. We'll get back towards this team. When I say scaling, like it's not like it's impossible for Nouns to win by any stretch. Like obviously there are heroes that scale very well on Nouns as well, but it just that Sven in particular is very worrisome to go up against, and so is the Dawnbreaker.
Yeah, I think your points stand. The scaling of VP is much more straightforward in comparison to what Nouns will have to do as this game drags on. They're going to have to try to be disruptive, look for the back line, try to ensure that the team fights don't get as grouped up as you'd want it to be on VP's end. But the play for Nouns, again, it's just a little bit more work to fit in, whereas for VP, it's just very straightforward. They will go on to the high ground with 40 seconds left in the Aegis. Poke a little bit.
Charge in. He does not connect with the onslaught. Mu, though, is going to move on to FNG, but FNG is fine thanks to the Solar Guardian of Notice. Mu, with his BKB, just trying to avoid getting hit by that Rolling Thunder of Squad X, but does eventually get connected with as Gunner. He's actually the big target, but he'll get forced up to the high ground. But K1, he tried to go after FNG, but it may cost his own life. And it does. Oh boy, at least they find Avenge as well, thanks to Mu charging in. So 2 supports going down, but you lost your position 1 Chaos Knight for that. At least they do force VP away from the high ground.
That they do, but VP is going to be so happy about that. Like, you take the CK, you're slowing down his timing on Hector. And the CK, again, not too far behind the Sven, all things considered here. The itemization farm is still pretty close between these two, but this is just very Sven favored. Right? You've got the AC being queued up next for Kiritich, so even more armor that the CK is just not going to enjoy. This hero relies so much on the minus armor and crits that you're just not going to have a good time up against the Sven. And the side of Nouns, I mean, with the Octarine up on Mu, that should mean more activity, but it doesn't feel like that activity is really in Nouns' favor. Like, they're not finding the angles they'd want to make these fights work out their way. We're seeing Mu trying to go into that heart now for himself, so trying to go for just straight up durability coming out here, which is, again, very typical with this kind of tricore on Nouns' end. I think the big factor is really just what impact do you expect from Hector at this point. He could still try to burst down the supports, but once even with the full AC up, that's a lot harder. You don't even have the shard on the Sven up yet. When that's up as well with Warcry, I don't even know if Hector can rip up anyone in the back line at this point.
Gunner be hunted here. They'll miss out on Yamsun, but they could find a much better target. Gunnar, he's got no idea they're coming, and the jump is there, and the onslaught. Oh, it didn't get him to the low ground. Still charging, they're going to try and fight back. Gunnar still dropping very, very low as Kirinich will not leave the Primal Beast alone. He is gone. The Mu is still trying to get this fight going with his BKB still running, but now needs to charge back away. Meanwhile, Squadic's going to go right after Yamsun. Yamsun should be all right to get to the high ground as K1 now showing up. Will try after FNG, but K1, I'm not sure how far he can truly go with this. He will back off while the BKB is still running. So it is going to be a 1-for-1. Seems like Gunnar for FNG is the trade that they come up with, and it is still favorable for VP, but I suppose for Nouns, at least they're still within this game. Like, they still have not dropped the racks.
No, they're holding on to that high ground really well. They're finding some angles in, but the sacrifices are pretty damn heavy from Nouns. Whereas for VP, again, they're only sacrificing their supports. The only reason that they lost FNG as well is purely because you were pretty far in Kirinich. He wasn't in range for the Warcry, wasn't in range for that Assault Cuirass. So the minus armor damage stacking from K1 can still kick in. But if you just stick together as a team for VP, I don't even know if Hector can do that same move onto a Jakiro, onto the Venge. It's just way too much durability from VP in terms of counteracting at CK. So they find an opportunity to at least get something. It's not the big kill they'd want on Nouns. They could try to force something out. If they find another pickoff into Roshan, I think that's where Nouns starts to get some map control back. They can start to play it a little bit more aggressive. They can start to look for some of their own tier 2s to take out as well. And that Roche respawn isn't too far off, but VP are the one taking initiative here with a smoke out.
Certainly are. Right towards the Roshan pit on the top left side. I don't know, Roshan, it has spawned up. This is perfect timing for VP. If they do check Roshan, they will find a very, very tasty unit in that pit, but they are avoiding it for now. They're actually drawing lines right back towards the Radiant Tormentor. Meanwhile, Nouns, though, they are sneaking up from right behind them. Both teams miss out on each other for now. Nouns, are they going to check Roshan? They'll go after the creep wave and reveal their position. So now VP are coming in from the rear. They'll try for Move, but Move pops his BKB in time. Rolling Thunder, it was popped by Squadix. He'll try and find himself a target, eventually finding Gunnar. Meanwhile, Moo, he's been targeted, but he'll charge right back in. The Giga Chat, he's going after Kirinich, but Kirinich, he'll juke out with the Shadow Blade, but no. Pulverize out with the swap. Kirinich, it's saving Private Ryan. Kirinich is still fine. He'll run towards the north, and now the God Strength. But Moo, he'll go for the Nether Strike. Out with the Yules now. Kirinich, he just can't get a hit off. Oh, Kirinich is gone. Noticed. Noticed has been noticed, Jonathan. And it seems like he's on notice because he's going down. Ultra kill for K1. God. Roshan time, boys. Unless,
it's ridiculous.
Can they find the Pango? Gunnar, his spidey senses are tingling, but Squadix is out of there, it seems like. Lelis might still have a look around.
Mana.
Yeah, it looks like they'll leave him.
I mean, that was such an insane flank from VP. They showed themselves on the creeps with Moo charging up, but Moo instantly BKBs. He has the refresh for a second BKB, for a second usage of the ultimate. Tries to drag them back. Some good saves coming out, but that flank maneuver from VP just ruined by Moo charging into creep wave and walking backwards. I don't think he even expected them to be behind him, for sure. They're just in position to capitalize a lot better than VP from that rear position. And off the back of that, Roshan comes out. They managed to isolate really nicely as well. Like, Notice was chasing out Yamsun. So while that fight's breaking out by the Lotus Pool, your Dawnbreaker's off elsewhere, finding an isolated target. Sure, you find that kill, but you're not assisting the rest of your team. And it cost VP heavily. Nouns back into the game. With that Aegis up, they can do a lot in the map. They can pressure into those tier 2s. They can start to consider an opportunity for the high ground if they find a big pickoff. And Moo, with a refresh, I mean, he doesn't even need the Ags. You know, the Ags is a pretty nice bonus just to have that true debuff immunity, but double BKB, immediate double charge, immediate double Nether Strike or double Bulldoze in the middle of these prolonged fights, it's massive for the Spirit Break.
It really is tough to go up against this guy with the Refresh Orb. I mean, it's even just the Blade Mail, right? Like, you've got so many ways of just tanking through these fights. And you double blade mail, double beak, and it just everything. Seiyu gonna get caught here on the Venge. He's gonna get locked down. Seiyu is as good as dead, but they are gonna move in VP. They'll try to fight. It's gonna be Gunnar they target, but Gunnar's too tanky, so K1, or rather Yamsun, he's the target now on the AA, but he 4-staffs away. Now they pick up the Sven, the Pulverize out Kiritich. He's been clattered out again.
God.
He needs to run. Moo's doing too much. Can he get the vision for the charge? It doesn't seem like it. Instead, they will try for Noticed. Noticed, I don't believe, can get away from this scenario, and he cannot. They will hold him down and take him out. At the very least, they get Kiritich out of this situation, but the Sven, he is not looking scary at all anymore. The Spirit Breaker, he's too much.
It's too much. They have way too much debuff immunity, Pierce. The Pulverize, the Nether Strike, even now the Reality Rift as well. So they have ways of kiting this Sven through even with that BKB up and running. The rest of the team needs to be able to do something. We've got to see VP come in with the rolls first, feels like, to really find that opening, but now they're just so damn mobile. You know, you can charge in with the Onslaught, you can charge in with a Charge of Darkness, you can pull someone back with Reality Rift, and isolate them one by one.
Squadix do not show on the creep wave, officer, do not show on the creep wave. Moo is around. He's thinking about swashing. Oh, Moo might see him anyway, but there isn't Observer Ward to scout out the Spirit Breaker, so Moo will not be able to get the vision he required. Very sad as well, because they had their own Observer Ward right by the tree line that the Pango was hiding in, but it's not any vision for Moo to charge.
You've also got the Lincolns anywhere, so you can't just rely on charging in. You're going to need to pop the Lincolns into a charge or pop it into a Nether Strike and try to isolate that way. A little bit trickier with the Spirit Breaker.
FNG, but he might be kind of baiting Gunnar a bit too forward. In fact, they are. Kiritich, he'll jump in again, but the Pulverize is out. Gunnar, though, he's already so down low in terms of HP, and so is K1. Both of them trying to run with a nice swap out. Kiritich moving in onto K1, does get the Chaos Knight. But Moo, he's coming in. He found the Sven. Moo,
oh my
what
God.
a Giga Chat just into 4 heroes. He does not give a crap. And he'll just charge away. Oh my goodness, turning it a very bad situation into a decent one. And VP, they might need to retreat because Moo is coming back. Charge it again, but he will need to cancel. Nullifier out. He'll refresh. It's the Nether Strike into FNG. They'll find the Jakiro. Notice thinking about moving back in, and so will Squadix. But Moo is still okay. The Pango now in danger. The Pango, they'll swap him out, but in comes Moo again. He's got Seiyu. They found Squadix, and it seems like there will be 4 going down on VP. In fact, it might even be a 5th if you count the Vent Remnant. And it will be. The only survivor is going to be Noticed. And this is all off the back of one Spirit Breaker.
It's all Moo right now. He had an atrocious lane. He has to go back and farm. The investment paying off massively on this Spirit Breaker. And for VP, they're trying to open up these fights, jumping Gunnar first. Like, this Prime Beast is just not going to die. Even if you found his first life, he has Aegis at this point in the game. He has 4.6k HP. He doesn't have too much armor, but you can't burst through all of that HP with your Sven. So you've got to find someone else. You've got to somehow find a backline. Like, we've found a lot of success from VP when they take out Yamsun and they take out Lelis first, but these are very long-range supports on the AA and Dark Willow. So getting that initiation going for VP, it's a much bigger challenge now than it was, say, even just 10, 15 minutes ago. And a lot of it has to come down to how they open these fights in VP. It's got to be a blink into backline. It's got to be a big roll coming out from Squadix. They need to play around with that information, because once you get into a drawn-out fight, you know, Spirit Breaker gets off 2, 3, 4 uses of the Charge of Darkness. He gets a couple of uses off the Nether Strike, plus the refresh on top. Like, it's just too much to handle. Moo's damage output is ridiculous right now. It's just so it's so much from those bashes.
It's going to get even better too as the levels go up and he gets those left side talents. It'll get much worse for VP, let me tell you. Like, his tank ability gets even higher once he gets to level 30, because he gets the big 500 barrier talent, and we'll see what happens here. As well, VP, they are still well within this game, but they are now 14k behind. They need to find a way to drag this one out. Kiritich, he'll pick up the Satanic for himself now, so he does have quite a bit more survivability. The issue has been, though, in these team fights, it's not a matter of it's not a matter of actually surviving through lifesteal. He just can't hit people. They are not giving him a chance. They're just kiting him out through his BKB every single time. And once the BKB wears off, Kiritich, he's just a sitting duck.
Yeah, it feels like you actually have to invest these two Lincolns you have, the Lincolns on Notice and the Lincolns on Squadix. You have to always Lincolns up Kiritich. Prevent him from being charged, prevent him from being Nether Strike. There's just too much BKB Pierce on the side of Nouns. Again, you've got Pulverize, you've got Nether Strike right now, Charge of Darkness down the line with the Ags, you've got Reality Rift. None of that will care for the BKB, so it has to be Lincoln stacking. Somehow, it's so hard to do that in the midst of a heated team fight. You have to do it one by one, stack them perfectly, and that's a lot of bleeding edge plays you're asking for to enable the Sven at this point in the game.
Another smoke out from Nouns, and they're running right into Squadix. They'll break the Lincolns, and Gunner can go into the Pulverize. But the Ice Blast connecting, there is no chance in hell of being able to survive the mid lane. Who have they got? It's K1. K1, he's by himself, but he got his BKB off, and now Moo can charge in. He can go right after the Sven, but the Lincoln Sphere, it will block the Nether Strike, so they will not be able to hold the Sven down yet. Instead, Gunner, he'll move in onto Seiyu. They'll find the Venge. Seiyu, though, with the Remnant, will be able to at least get away, but Moo, he's going into the tier 4 towers. He wants both lives, and Seiyu is still just trying to swap himself out. There's now the buybacks. Squadix and FNG, they'll come back into this team fight. K1, he's been left alone underneath the tier 3 tower. He'll have to go down, and he does not have buyback gold, so there is no way to return to this fight. It's VP, they will clean up too. No chase for more even, but everyone else does get their way out of there. Can you capitalize off the 85 seconds you have without this CK?
Unfortunately, Roche respawn is pretty damn long. 3 minutes, one of the longer respawns here for Roche for VP. So not going to be able to find that. I don't think the CK is an issue, right? Like, even if you find Hecker, he's not the main target you're worried about now. Your main worry is Moo, your main worry is Gunner. And these two are just not going to die anytime soon. It has to be a focused effort. Like, I don't even know how much damage Hecker's even doing these fights. It's really just the charge to bashes and the damage coming out from Gunner as well with the trample. Like, it's all of that plus this AA blast. I think the AA dying is actually a bigger deal for VP than the CK. The CK just feels like fluff at this point. They do manage to find a tier 2 here on VP's end, so they can get more doing there, and they should be able to, I don't know, try to stall. There's no Roche. They can try to take map control, try to build up some farm. I don't see any immediate items that really help the cause of VP outside of your own Lincolns, perhaps, on Kiritich, just so that there's a little bit more leeway for the Lincoln stacking in the middle of these fights. Could be something he goes for. He's still trying to work onto the short and the harpoon. The harpoon could be a really nice way to pull in the backline as well. But Nouns, they're having a great time. The respawns are back up. They're smoked up. They could look for a fight into Roshan. This timing favors them more than anything else.
It certainly does, but there is going to be a smoke out from Nouns. They're heading towards Roshan. In fact, Moo, he was charging FNG, but he will cancel. Wards down, VP. They're setting up for a bit of a fight. Still looking to come in. Gunner having a look. VP very, very patient. They'll smoke themselves. They'll see Moo, but Moo, he's not the target. You can burst down that quickly. He'll move right in. Who have they got? It seems like they found the Sven. Kiritich, he's in trouble again. He just can't get anything off. Kiritich is down. He'll buy back immediately. Back into the team fight. Meanwhile, notice he will drop to Bird. And he's used the Solar Guardian, so there's no way back into the fight for him. He can't buy back on the Thornbreaker now. Kiritich, he bought back for this, but he cannot fight. He needs to retreat. Seiyu may be left behind, but a nice little juke spot. He does at least get a TP away, as they will not see. Well, they do see him. They'll break the Lincolns, but it won't matter. They can't stop him.
It's way too much. There's too much output. If you get a good blast, and you just don't care about these BKBs. Debuff immunity means nothing for Nouns. So they've always got control, whereas you don't have that much piece for their own debuff immunity here on nouns. Like, you have nothing to pierce that. It's just a lot easier for nouns to dictate these fights, only having to worry about the Lincolns. Because even if you can block one charge, it's a 9-second cooldown. You don't care on who. You're always going to pop a Lincolns. You're always going to find an opening. And for VP, at the least, their high ground's not going to be under siege. Roshan is open for nouns, though. And that's a much safer objective for them to take, and starting to make their way up there. A free refresh shard on hand. Double BKBs perhaps for Hector. Or just a lot of BKB uses out for Moo perhaps. Or even just like a double pulverize from Gunner could be massive here. I think that is going to ruin a lot of what VP will want to try to do in this defense.
Roshan going to go down for free. VP obviously cannot contest this with 2 heroes down. The respawn now, but it's way too late. Roshan already way too low. So now Aegis up on K1. Refresher shard available on Gunner. He'll take the cheese to boot. Straight through the twin gates, nouns will go. And it seems like they might want to try going through the bottom lane. It seems as there are 3 heroes from nouns around this area. Maybe see if you can find Kiritich in the triangle, which is exactly where he is. Kiritich building his own Lincoln Sphere now. Trying to just add to the survivability for himself. It's been incredibly hard for Kiritich to be able to do anything in these fights. And now with the 3rd Lincoln Sphere, we'll see if that makes the difference.
It has to be so coordinated from VP. You see that Lincoln's pop, someone has to immediately add another Lincoln's top. That pops, you add the next. It has to be very well staggered here from VP, and that's easier said than done.
TI10 all over again, huh?
Oh,
Gunner.
yeah.
Pulverize out, they found the vent. Say you again does have the edge, so we'll have that secondary remnant to play with, at least for now. Though they are bursting it down rather fast, so maybe just know it's gone. He does at least have buyback.
Daedalus. Noticed. Trying to go for damage. I don't know if damage is an issue right now. It's more just trying to survive. I guess you don't need to worry about surviving if you can try to crit them down with a Starbreaker. So, I'll see if that pays off, but rather unorthodox from Noticed here.
No, I think it makes enough sense here. They need something, because this Fen is getting too kited. Like, they need somebody else to hit. K1, jump in. Kiritich was spotted for a moment, does get the Sorbet edge off in time to be able to back away. K1 will avoid the Starbreaker altogether and gets his way out. Nouns, if they do head towards the bottom power rune spot, they are going to find a very tasty double damage waiting for them. And it seems like Gunner will. He'll leave it for K1, I believe. Never mind, he will not. Screw the carry.
Yeah, just take it for yourself, you know? You don't need it. I honestly don't think it makes a massive difference. Hector's probably the easiest one to kill up front. Like, he'll probably just instantly get into the Aegis anyway. And you don't care. It's more about denying it from VP if they try to make a flank down the rear. As the DD Sven with Godstrand, I think, is a lot scarier for Prospect. Still have a lot of time in that Aegis. 2.5 minutes roundabout here for Hector. And they can start laying in. I think nouns don't really have too much to wait for. They've got the full Ag's blessing onto Moo. So now you've got the good old 6-second charge, which is always nice to see.
Lovely. So things get even more spicy now from this Spirit Breaker. VP still holding on to their high ground now, 52 minutes into the game. K1 gonna move in. Not really taking too much damage as there is a charge out. Who is he going for? Looks like he did cancel. Tier 3 tower top lane is now gone. K1 still being targeted here by Squadix, but the Pulverize going to catch him mid-rolling thunder. Seiyu forced to swap out the Pangolier. Seiyu, though, now in danger as they charge him up and the Venge is gone. We'll keep the Remnant at least. K1. Cheeky stun out onto the Dawnbreaker. They just want the racks for now. And it seems like they might just get away with it to boot, considering they still have the Aegis on K1. There's no reason for them to back off. BP still posturing aggressively, but it seems like there's no way to initiate this fight. And so now they'll take the top racks for free. Only one lane of barracks left, but in they go. K1 now getting caught by the Starbreaker, but Gunner, he's going to blink right in. Who does he want? He'll miss out on the Pango. He'll go for the Pulverize instead on the Dawnbreaker, but a nice swap out from Seiyu. Going to save the life of Notice, but still Seiyu dropping lower. In goes Kirinich, but who are you aiming? He's been caught out again. Kirinich, can he get some damage off? The bashes are just consistently coming up from Mu. He can do nothing. He at least gets the Aegis of K1, but it means nothing if you can't survive. He'll get swapped out again from Seiyu. The chase is on for more. FNG probably going to drop. Gunner has found Kiritis, but no, the Lincoln's blocked. He will not pulverize. Instead of the onslaught, the Sven is gone. No buyback available. That has to be it. VP, they surely cannot defend any further as the charge out again from Mu. This man just doesn't stop. Surely he dies. He finally does. There's only 1 milli barracks left, and Noun's really going to leave this. They've left Gunner. Gunner. In a bit of danger, they'll turn around now. They'll move back in. K1 finding FNG. Now the Brambles and the Terrorized back out. K1, he'll just focus down the milli barracks. He doesn't care for the heroes. In fact, he'll take the Pango while he's at it. Still no GG call to come from VP because they can't really afford the draw either. They'll take down Notice. Buybacks incoming. Seiyu in trouble again. Notice trying for Gunner. Gunner is just too tanky though. He will not die. K1 moving back in, looking for the Dawnbreaker. Will not be able to finish the job yet, but they might just go onto the tier 4 towers now. Meanwhile, Mu does need to back off. He'll charge out of there. Gunner copping some damage, but can they really keep this defense going? Maybe they can. Maybe Gunner does die here. He's dropping very low and he's gone. All right. A VP, they're up against Megas, but we've seen 2 Mega Creep come back just yesterday alone, John. So we know it's possible. A VP, they are going to hold out.
Yeah, it's very possible. It's just, it feels so damn difficult. What's the win probability sitting at right now? 98% for Nouns. VP, and they've got to find a way to hold on here, as Nouns probably just going to wait for the next Roshan. 1:40 until we see that respawn timer. Mu has just been insane. Like, the targets he goes for on these charges, the angles he's finding, the way he's catching multiple heroes out, his fortitude to hold on. You know, he copped a lot of the early rotations. He was like 0-4-0 at some point in the game, just having 0 impact, wanting to farm. To show that investment paying off is just insane. And it's just maddening what VP has to do to try to find a kill. Everyone's just too damn tanky. A heart on Mu now.
Oh, goodness.
Like 5k HP on Spirit Breaker with stat resist. You've got 5.5k HP on the Primal Beast. You've got 4.7k on K1 as well. Like, how does anyone die on Nouns in say a 1-minute team fight? Right, a 1-minute team fight. They managed to find those kills. That was like a 2-minute fight extended, maybe 2.5. I don't think you find that in a 1-minute window.
No, I do agree with you, John. I don't think that's going to be too easy for VP to pull off, especially with a 38k deficit. No, even Lelis bought a full Wind Waker now, so you've got even more saves coming out from Nouns. Not that they needed it, but they've got it, just in case. The VP still really struggling to find an answer to this game. As Nouns, they are just waiting for the next Roshan. It's still 20 seconds till we find out when it even does respawn. So this could be a while till they return to the base. And you know what? I mean, if they are truly going to wait for Roshan to go high ground again, we might see some tier 5 items for VP. They might have a chance.
Thanks for making sure we don't see it, Mike. You had to point it out. We'll never see it. The game will end at 59 or 59-59.
Probably will.
You know, just to be funny. I think the one thing I'd like to see at this point, mainly on Nouns, just to be extra spicy, Hector's Ags, you know, Phantasm illusion of these tanky heroes, that was pretty funny.
It'll still melt. Come on now.
Exactly it. You know, have a little server meltdown. Why not? You know, cook it up a little bit. Make it spicy. And we've already got an invulnerable Earth Spirit at some point, so might as well cook some PCs up with all the Phantasm illusions. Get a refresh onto Hector as well. And just double Phantasm for no reason.
Play
just
shy.
dodge out spells for whatever reason.
I just built this PC, John. Come on, let me enjoy it a little bit longer, would you?
Yeah, you'll enjoy it with you being the only person with FPS. You'd enjoy it. You'd be like, wow, it's not impacting my new PC at all, and everyone else is just suffering.
We're gonna go down that route. Right now, I'm viewing this game without a mouse, Jonathan. My mouse is completely bugged out, so I'm using some arrow keys. great PC build I've got here, John.
I don't even know how that happens.
Oh,
my
neither do I, John. I've done something special, surely. There's Roshan. Only I can do these things, John. Gunner.
Only you.
We'll take down Roshan. VP obviously not in a position to contest. They'll have to watch this one go down. Of course, Nouns, if you are Nouns, you're looking to just rush the base after this, surely. We shall see. Who took what?
Scanning.
Aegis to Moo, Refresh Short to Gunner, and Cheese to Gunner as well. And nothing going to Hector. I'm telling you, Hector, he's a great player. He's not the important hero here. He's not the star. It's Moo.
VP. K1. Oh, K1. He just got FNG. FNG just gets annihilated. Gunner will move in for the ulti, but doesn't really get too much off. Still, they do get Seiyu. So Seiyu is down. Kiritich looking to move in, does move in on to the Primal Beast, but it does him no good. He is forced to blink away. In comes Squadix now with the Rolling Thunder. They're going to try, but Gunner, he's got the BKB out. In comes Moo with the charges now. Kiritich, he got the Silver Edge and tie. Oh, he throws out a stun. He'll break his invis. Moo, he will just continue moving in. He does not give a crap.
No,
Kiritich is doing 0 damage, and he's just getting perma-bashed. Oh, Kiritich. The poor guy, look at him. He's doing no damage. Noticed. Still fighting. Here comes the Sven again. I'm not sure what he's going to do. Apart from run in circles. Seiyu will go down. Squadix is still trying. The Ancient under siege.
Good God.
Yeah, they got the Sven again. At least he's got God Strength this time. But is it going to matter? It's not really. The Ancients are completely exposed, still being focused. Kiritich will try. GG score. A nice attempt from VP, but it's just they're just doing 0 damage. Like nobody's dying.